Alright, this is ACH AIA Akaya coming back with game 2 here. Hitchens was able to take game number 1 on Blistering Sands, and it looks like for game number 2 we are going to be playing on Lost Temple, which of course is a 4-player map, so scouting even more important, not only just for the fact that you need to find exactly where your opponent is, but to make sure there is no silly cheese strategies going on, although there typically is not cheese on 4-player maps. I have seen it done. But Azreal there, being a good sport, wishing his opponent good luck, have fun here, and Hitchens is going to spawn in the bottom middle here as the green Protoss, and on the left side the pink Terran is going to be Azreal once again, as neither player is playing random. Both of them have selected their race for the duration of the tournament. So looking forward into this game. Like I said, in the last set that I saw Hitchens play in, he actually did a different strategy every game, so I'm very excited to see what he tries to pull out this game, since he is a pretty creative player. And as I mentioned earlier, I have not seen a whole lot of Azreal's games. He does seem like a pretty solid player, but I don't have a whole lot of reference to go off of as far as what to expect from him as a strategy, so a little bit in the dark as far as that. But we'll see exactly what he tries to do over the course of this game here, but he is doing something a little unorthodox to start off. As I mentioned last game, a lot of Terran players like to build their first 2 supply depots and barracks out by their entrance and basically create a hard wall off here that will block their enemies from getting up into scout. But he has built his first supply depot behind his mineral line and building his barracks actually by his refinery. So for whatever reason, deciding to not go for that wall off at the front of his base. Not sure exactly why he's doing that, but we will see. Perhaps he's going to get a fast Reaper as he is getting that early refinery up. But on the other side of the map, we do have Hitchens here is scouting out with his probe. So, and it looks like with the current path that his probe is going, he is going to scout the base of Azreal absolutely last. So it looks like he is going to be in the dark of this rush strategy until he actually makes it over here, which is going to be a little while still. But unfortunately for Azreal as well, he does not know where his opponent is, although he is scouting the top base, so he's going to be aware that his opponent is not up here. And I would imagine that just because of the closeness of these 2 bases, that he would try to come to the bottom base first with this first Reaper, which I am expecting him to get out, although he is getting out a Marine right now. So maybe he is perhaps not going Reapers. Typically when I've seen people go early Reapers, they will get their tech lab immediately. And yeah, no, he is not going to get Reapers. He is instead going to go for Marines. So throwing me off a little bit there, but he does have 2 geysers up already, so it looks like we are going to see a pretty gas-heavy strategy from him, and actually almost getting that probe completely knocked out of the game there before it was able to get up into his base with that 1 Marine. Unfortunately, he did not have a second Marine here to pick it off, so it looks like Hitchens will get a full view of exactly what is in the base of Azreal for the time being, and it looks like Azreal is able to take out that probe before it's able to stick around the base for too long, and as soon as that probe is gone, he starts a factory, so already differentiating his build significantly from the last game. Although it looks like Hitchens is actually going a pretty similar build. He went Gate Cybercore and then another Gateway here, so we'll see if he puts up his robotics facility here shortly, which will pretty much mimic the exact same build he did on Blistering Sands. And finally, Azreal making it down to the Protoss player Hitchens base. He is going to be aware of the tech that he has right now as the second assimilator goes down. And it looks like 1 lone zealot moving across the map, going to put some pressure on Azreal here. But of course, with 3 Marines on the ramp, it looks like he will be able to hold it off. That 1 zealot already getting pretty low on HP, and there is a reactor coming out right now. So it looks like we may see him lift off this factory and put the reactor on it so that he can know he is going to get a tech lab. I am just all kinds of miscalling things today, but what I was going to say is I've seen a lot of Terran players, what they will do is build the attachment that they want for a later tech building on their barracks, and then what they will do is lift off the factory or starport that they really want to be on that attachment, and they will basically switch them. But it looks like that is not what he is trying to do. He is actually getting a tech lab. So in building a siege tank right now, which that is actually really good to see, because siege tanks seem very highly underutilized in StarCraft 2 so far. So very happy to be seeing a Terran player using those. And it looks like we have a stalker and another probe moving out here. It looks like he's going to be putting a proxy pylon up here, which will allow him to work units in quickly to keep up pressure on the Terran player's base. And that 1 stalker is going to back out for the time being because he does not have enough firepower to take on these 5 Marines by himself. But meanwhile, in the Terran player's base, he is continuing to build Marines and tanks only. So it looks like he is going to be going for that kind of build here, and a 4-gate push coming from Hitchens right now. So rather than going for the robotics bay, he is going, or the robotics facility rather, he is going to go for the 4-gate push. And with that research of the warp gate technology, it looks like he is going to have a serious offensive mounting here very shortly. And I don't know if Azreal is going to be prepared to deal with this, as he is still just producing tanks and Marines. We'll see if he's able to get enough units out, but with that 4-gate push, and Azreal has not yet scouted it, he's going to have a very hard time dealing with this, although the second tank coming out may be exactly what he needs to hold this off. But it looks like these Marines are doing a pretty good job of folks firing these units down. Only 3 stalkers left, and these tanks just pounding away on those stalkers. One more sentry joining the fray, and it looks like those stalkers and sentries are going to go down. So Azreal has successfully held off the first wave of this 4-gate push, and a couple more zealots joining the fray here, going to try to take on these tanks. But of course, these tanks being microed pretty well by Azreal, and he's going to send 1 zealot in to take care of these SCVs. Unfortunately, not really able to get any kills on those SCVs, and continuing to warp units in here. Although I don't think this is going to be enough to take him out. He is going to need to build more units before he makes another push on this base. But if we take a look at the units overlay here, we can see 3 stalkers, 1 zealot, and 1 sentry, as opposed to the 3 tanks and 3 Marines for the Terran player. On the production overlay here, and yeah, it looks like Azreal did finally just scan this, so he is aware of the 4-gate push, and he is trying to put down an expansion right now with the siege tanks over this cliff to defend. So the Protoss player is going to have a very difficult time getting up into there with these sieged up tanks, and as you can see, those siege tanks have a great range. They're going to be able to just rain damage out on these ground units as they're trying to move into attack this expansion, and Hitchens losing a lot of units trying to get by those siege tanks so that they do not have to fight under the fire of those siege tanks. But of course, as soon as they come back and try to fight the Marines and siege tanks that are guarding this expansion, back up to pull them back into the line of fire here. So it looks like Hitchens may be in pretty bad shape here. He needs to make something happen, or get an expansion up so that he can start catching up on the econ game. But it looks like he is sending a probe out. Not sure if he's going to try to take an expansion somewhere else on the map possibly. But let's see here exactly where this probe is going and what it's going to try to do. It looks like he is moving up into the expansion over here, but no nexus set down just yet. So we'll see if he tries to put that down here in a little bit. And the command center just now finishing for Azreal, so he is going to be getting some probes up and running at that expansion and try to take an economic advantage. Meanwhile, he has also started building a starport, as well as Hitchens has just finished his Stargate. So it looks like we're going to see some Void Rays from Hitchens as well. So a very diverse unit mix so far, with using pretty much everything he has from his gateway right now, and also getting some Void Rays in the mix as well. And he has tried to take a hidden expansion over here on the right side of the map. We'll see if he's able to keep this a secret and actually build up a secret econ advantage possibly, but that will depend on whether or not Azreal is able to scout it, because as of right now you can see that he is completely unaware of that. But anyways, going back to the Protoss player Hitchens base, he is continuing to warp units in, although right now he does not have a whole lot of an army. If you look at the units overlay here, we can see that there are a lot more units on the map for the Terran player right now, although a decent amount of zealots starting to build up for the Protoss players. So still, this game is somewhat even, although looking at the income tab here, we can see that the Terran player is starting to pull away with a little bit of an economic advantage, somewhere between 150 and 200 minerals per minute of an advantage over the Protoss opponent that he is facing against right now. So unless Hitchens is able to get this expansion up and running here pretty quickly, he may fall behind just because of the economic advantage that Azreal has right now. But looking at Azreal's expansion, he does have a lot of SCVs on his mineral line here, and even getting 1 mule in the mix, but does not have any geysers up and running yet. So it looks like for the time being he is going to stick with his primarily Marine and tank army, although he is starting to get some medevacs in the mix as well. So he will have